Okay, welcome to the show. This is TED Talks Too Much. And I think we've got another great one for you today. I am Ted Moss, ex-so-and-so, stand-up comedian and your host. We are located in the OK Boomer Studios, just north of Detroit and south of Flint, Michigan, in the birthplace of the automobile and the middle class, where we are now experiencing new labor pains, just hoping to be born again. But while we all wait for that, let's talk. And on today's show, we've got part 2 with that beautiful Veronica Douglas from Flint, Michigan. She's going to tell us how she started stand-up comedy with a little prayer, performed out of town for money, and we'll learn about her wild and crazy days in college. For all that, stay tuned. All right, guys, before we started the show today, I just wanted to have a minute to talk to you and say thanks. I appreciate everybody that's tuning in. Believe it or not, we are now downloaded in 57 countries. I know, I have no idea how that happened. We're in the United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, France, United Kingdom, Mexico, Japan, Ireland, India, Austria, Ecuador, Uzbekistan, Philippines, Germany, Vietnam, Sweden, United Arab Emirates, Nepal. How did they find us in Nepal? I got a number of people downloading there. Anyhow, we're up to 57 countries. Thanks a lot, guys. We just picked up Taiwan. Welcome aboard, Taiwan. Also, I want to tell you guys, if you want to hear just 1-minute clips so you can determine what interview to listen to, go to my Instagram. Follow me on TED Talks Too Much on Instagram, and you can see all our advertisements there. Also, I just put some t-shirts, sweatshirts, and other logoed items and apparel on Amazon. So go to Amazon, TED Talks Too Much, then type in sweatshirt, t-shirt, pop socket, phone case, and get something that says TED Talks Too Much on it, or just Talks Too Much, and support the show. Anyhow, thanks a lot for tuning in. I appreciate all you people. Keep listening and share it if you would. That'd be a big help to me. But in any case, let me get you right back over and we'll start the show. Okay, one more time into the breach with that lovely lady from Flint, Michigan. She's going to talk about how she headlined the first time she performed stand-up comedy. We'll be talking about the etiquette of hitchhiking, and we're going to finish it off with how to party with hoes and toys. Let's give an OK Boomer Studio welcome one more time from Ms. Veronica Douglas. Hey, you know what, we've been talking a long time, but I do want to talk about your comedy career, how that started, how that evolved, where you first performed, how you first did stand-up comedy. Can you kind of fill me in on where this all came from?
Yes, I can. It's actually a funny, but like godsend story. So I used to always, like you say, in high school, I used to make so many jokes and talk shit and all of that. And a friend of mine, he went to New York. He graduated the year before me, and he went to New York. And I caught up with him, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm down here." He did a lot of skits and stuff. His name is Shaki.
He did skits in high school? Or?
Yeah, he was doing skits and funny stuff, and I'd just be cracking up at it, you know.
Just for his friends?
For his friends, YouTube and stuff, yeah. He
would do
voiceovers. Very talented guy.
Okay,
he's still
cool.
out here doing it. And I used to pick on him in high school because I was heavier. I was about 300 pounds. So
what?
I would hit on these.
You were 300 pounds? Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, you look great. You aren't anywhere near that. I could actually lift you up, and I can't lift 300 pounds. I could actually probably toss you across the room, I think, if I really want to, and I'm old.
Look, Ted, I'm happy I can lift myself up now. You understand? When I found out I had a knee, I was like, oh my God. I'm like everybody else.
Oh.
But no, I would hit on him and, you know, just make jokes. And, you know, I know he would never have been interested in me, but I love to mess with people. And so he graduated the year before me, and he went to New York, and I caught up with him the year after, and he was like, yeah, I'm down here doing comedy. I really think you should try it. And I was like, oh, okay, shit, you know, it sounds fun. And I probably sat down the next night and wrote down one line, and it was like super disgusting, like, It was very disgusting.
It was it was gross.
But I didn't know how to form a joke or anything, so I left it alone.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I said a silent prayer to myself, right? And I said, God, if it's for me to try comedy, because I do like making people laugh, I need it to be paid and I need it to be out of town. Because I don't want to embarrass myself in front of nobody.
Yeah.
And
I want to do it on the side.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get that.
Because if it don't work out, nobody has to know about this.
Yeah.
Nobody.
You, Lord, just us two. We'll take this to the grave.
And I need some money. I need some money to try something like this. Because at the back of my mind, I do feel like I'm funny. So I need a little money for this too. Because I might get a couple laughs.
Hold it. Going out, you aren't just like, hey, give me a chance. You're like, I want to get paid.
Yeah. In my mind, this was a silent prayer to myself. Yeah. And I was like, if it's meant to be, that's how it'll come. Yeah. Period.
I like how you just added in money. If I'm going to pray, we might as well talk money, Lord. Hello? I mean, I want some shit, but money too is always good.
Because he wasn't hearing me the first couple times. You know what I'm saying? And so yeah, I was like, all right, that's how I'll do it. And then a year later, I was working this job that I hated so much. I hated it so much. And I was like, oh, I just felt suicidal. That's how much I hated it. Like, is this life, like getting up, going to work, this pattern, just constant, just the same thing over and over and over. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, this cannot be life. I can't live like
this. Yeah. It's got to be better than this. Yeah.
And I remember walking into my job one day after playing the lottery, because I'm like, I'm going to hit this lottery and I'm going to tell these people where to take this motherfucking rental application. You can take it and shove it up, yo. I just knew I'm going to hit the 4-digit. I'm going out playing money every day.
What I need is more lottery tickets in my life. Lord help me.
So I'm walking into...
That's what churches should do. They should have church-sponsored lottery tickets with the name of the church on it.
And what happens if you win? You got to give back to the church.
No, they give back money. But churches can do shit like that.
Look, they already...
The Lord, bet on the Lord. On the way out to church, buy a lottery ticket.
They already getting enough money to be serving them small ass crackers. Yeah, correct. We both know that.
What kind of snack is this?
Okay, they getting enough money. They already cheating the system enough. But what was crazy was, so I'm walking into my job. It's the beginning of the summer. Yeah, and I'm just and it's my sister calling from Ohio. She was like, hey, I'm in the Boost mobile store, and I just heard this guy, he's getting ready to open a comedy club, and he's looking for a comedian. And I told him you did comedy. Now, mind you...
You got people helping you.
Mind you, this was the catch, though. I never said to any family member that I wanted to do comedy.
Oh.
Never.
So this kind of subliminal just happened at the same time.
Never
it's
said
like it was fate.
Yes. And so she was like, I gave him your number. He's supposed to call you. And so he calls me and I'm nervous because I'm like, I do poetry. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, He was like, but do you do comedy too? And I was like, well, yeah, I do both. I do both. And he was like, okay, well, I'm going to pay you $150 to come down to Columbus, Ohio and do 30 minutes.
I got to pray to your God because mine's not turning out shit for me. Your God, you're just asking, you're getting shit. That's why you got to start asking the Lord for money instead of me. You'd be a lot better off.
Look, I asked him for this house. You better be careful. You better make that next payment. I just asked him for this house.
Yeah. So, I'm looking for renters.
But I did. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm going to come down there. And I had 2 weeks to get ready.
Now, where was this at?
In Columbus, Ohio.
Columbus. So that's what, 4 hours or something like that?
4 hours away.
Yeah.
So it was paid and it was out of town.
Yeah. So it's perfect.
As scared as I was, it was like, okay, me and God kind of made a deal.
Yeah.
So I got to keep, my half of the deal.
Yeah.
And so I had 2 weeks to prepare. I watched as many stand-up comedy shows as I can. I seen how they were formatting the jokes.
You didn't copy their jokes, though?
None.
Okay.
I copied a style.
Yeah, okay, cool.
A style. And the style was because they thought I was doing poetry. And so when I got up and I did my set, and I'm sure they was waiting on the poetry, I ended off this one guy's style. And I was like, okay, I said, I'm going to do my poetry now. And he was like, all right, cool, excited. And I was like, this poem is called Goodbye. And I walked off the stage. And it was cool. Like I had some family members driving out.
Did they clap?
Yes, they clapped. They asked me to come back that same night for a show in September.
Hold on. You had family members. I thought you wanted nobody there that knew you.
They couldn't help it. Like they had... Listen, my auntie is so dramatic. She's like, you going to come over here, you going to practice your set. And I'm practicing my set, and I'm all like, yeah, so sucking his dick. And she got me on the microphone. I don't want my auntie to hear about me sucking this old man dick. I don't know. Can I practice somewhere else? So that was the most practice I had in the living room of my auntie's house.
Yeah.
Just, hanging out. But I went down there and it was just family and friends that I know, it was just family actually. It was no friends.
And you weren't that friendly with your family, so it was just family.
Yeah, it was just family.
We've established that.
It was cool to see familiar faces because it helped me get in touch with that side of just hanging out with them and just kind of loosening up.
Yeah. Well, how many minutes did you have to do?
I did 37 minutes.
What?
And
Your first time?
Yeah, and I was
What?
Yeah.
Nobody does 37 for what, Veronica? People do 5. People hope to get a tight 5. I mean, every
I didn't say it was tight.
Comedian,
I didn't say it was tight. I didn't say it was tight at all.
people are praying to come up with 5 minutes worth of jokes. My 7-minute set, I had 56 punchlines in 7 minutes.
Oh, wow.
35. Good God. There's no way I could do it. I'd have to have a lot of conversation in there. I'm just talking to you now.
It was a lot of conversation. It was a lot of stories. When I first started, I was more of a storyteller.
You know what? I wish I would have done more of that because I developed a style that's so rehearsed and so funny. You know what I mean? that it's almost not conversational enough. And I think you probably started on the other side. You had to if you're going to do that many minutes.
Yeah, I told stories. I watched people like Monique and Martin and all these people, and they're telling stories. And so I just told a lot of the stories, and I added my own imagination to some. And then I practiced crowd work because I was just doing what I watched on YouTube.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right, sure.
I didn't even know underground comedians existed at that time.
Oh.
I thought that this was my call, and I'm the next Mike Epps because this is just how I go. You don't do no underground.
Yeah, I just go from this to TV.
Yeah.
I'm with Netflix. I'm next.
No, exactly.
I did 35 here. Where's my contract?
Then I go to Saginaw and run into your ass, and I'm like, wait, there's more? There's more? I got this much competition on here?
People, a lot of people saying funny shit.
It was like that, and I knew it was it because they was like, and they pulled me to the side when I got off stage. They said, "Can you come back in September?"
Wow.
And I said, "Yes, I can."
You know what? I got to tell you, you're naturally funny. You're probably as naturally funny as anybody I've ever met. You do, honestly, you just naturally are. And also, you have a style where you can see that you enjoy you. Honestly. And no, that's very compelling. My dad used to be the same way. He'd tell a joke and he'd laugh so hard, even if the joke wasn't funny. Everybody just enjoyed him telling the joke. And so they'd start laughing with him. So even if it wasn't that funny, just watching him was entertaining because he entertained himself.
Yeah.
And there's something to be said for that. And you kind of have that same style. Well, you say some shit and you start giggling about what you're saying. Kind of like you're in the moment and really you're like, yeah, I'm saying that. You know what I mean?
Well, my theory on stage is if I'm not having fun, you're not having fun.
Yeah.
And if I'm not, you know what I'm saying? If it's not funny to me, then I know it's not going to be funny to you because I want to laugh first, actually. And
yeah. Well, maybe that's what makes you strong, but you're really, really good.
Thank you.
You really are.
Thank you.
You're one of the best in Detroit. And, I think the Detroit community, and I've been around the country, is one of the strongest comedy communities in the country.
Oh, yes.
We've got a whole bunch of people in that mid-range. They aren't stars. Mm-hmm. I mean, we got top-end guys, too. Don't get me wrong. There's some really good top-end guys. And there's, a half dozen of those or whatever. But that mid-range, we got 100 people. You can put a lot of shows together.
Yes.
I mean, and just with people that you just, Jay Bell. I mean, just people that are just incredibly talented. I just saw a show. Sal was headlining it, and Jason Jamerson.
Yes.
Killed.
Okay.
Just absolutely killed.
Okay.
I mean, there's just all these people that are just on the verge of being really strong. I think you could take any of those people and put them in any community, whether it's L.A. or New York or Chicago or whatever, anywhere in the country, and they'd hold their own. I mean, I think Detroit would represent in any comedy community you'd put them in.
I agree. I do agree. Detroit has some of the strongest comedians, especially when it comes to crowd work.
Yeah.
Like, they are so strong. And it actually, going to Detroit strengthened my crowd work because you would get down to these rough area neighborhood bars They were supposed to start at 9. Don't start till 11. You're getting robbed at 12. So, you know what I'm saying? Get in, get out. But you would stay there and you would wait these 2 hours just for like 4 people to show up. And those 4 people looking at you like, you better make me laugh.
I know.
And so you really can't go off material. You got to find something going on. You got to find that. And so I really do think going to Detroit rooms is great with crowd work.
Yeah.
Just strengthening your crowd work is important.
Did you ever do, I think it was called JB West, something West. I thought it was JP West's or something like that.
It's in Detroit?
Yeah, it was downriver Detroit. Actually, when I was down there, Josh Adams was there. Who was a very strong comedian, for people who don't know him. One of the best in Michigan, probably one of the best in the country. That's under. Yeah. But he wasn't performing. He just hanging out there. And that's where I first met Jason Jamerson, too.
Okay.
And he performed that night. But, you know, they frisked you when you came in the back. Honestly, you had to ring the bell to get in. And then they frisked you. They weren't worried about the ID, about how old. They didn't want to know if you're carrying.
That's funny.
Well, honestly, they did, man. And the front door was locked because I went to both doors. I mean, it was that kind of place. Mm-hmm. And it was just a bar with an aisle. You could walk up and down, booths on one side, bar on the other side. Mm-hmm. So you're actually walking the aisle while you're telling jokes. And it was, you know, it was 80% black. You know, I mean, there was a few white people there, but we were definitely a minority. And, you know, I started talking about that shit. I did what I call my Negro jokes. And then they were like, oh, God, I can't even. So I got their attention really quick. But honestly, I had a great set. Mm-hmm. But, you know, I was a white guy in a black bar. And so it kind of gives you an opportunity that other people don't necessarily have.
Right.
And it's kind of like when you go to an all-white community and you're the only black person in that community, you're like, oh, this is going to be different. What's this about?
Yeah.
So you kind of got to edge in. You got to take advantage of it.
Yeah.
But
I do.
yeah. But I'll tell you what. I had a great set down there. But I also ran into some people that weren't. I don't want to say they weren't comedians, but they were just kind of. What do they call it when they're just saying whatever they're thinking of? Is kind of like, you know, I'm going. There's got to be a punchline or somewhere you got to stop to make me laugh. And there was just a whole lot of talk and not a lot of funny coming out of them. So there was some of that there too. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So relatively speaking, there was about 3 of us that had really good sets, but they were waiting for the comedy to turn on. And and when we did, they was like, oh yeah, this is what we're doing. Yeah,
that's dope. That's dope. I did Josh's. Did I do Level Up? Yeah, he had a show called Level Up. And I did that room, and it was packed. And it was like, I seen like one person from Flint there, and I'm like, oh, cool. I'm a little comfortable now.
Yeah.
But
this is Josh Adams put on the show?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I've done a lot of Detroit rooms, like, man. And then that's just another way to meet. And because the game is definitely sold and not told. So when I say the game is sold and not told, I had to pay gas to go to these open mics.
Yeah.
I had to buy food to keep that open mic running.
Yeah.
So that we could come back next week and just have a mic to practice on.
Sure.
And then you got these veterans who will come through and you won't even know they're coming. Or, you know what I'm saying? And they see your set and they just be like, you can do this or you can do that.
Yeah.
You'll watch them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
right.
It's definitely sold and not told. And you can't expect to stay in one place and learn as much as I've learned from this game.
Right.
You got to move around.
Right.
You got to move around.
Now, have you ever done the Urban Cafe in Flint?
No, I have not.
Wow. Yeah, it's in Flint. I'm surprised you haven't done that.
They don't want to pay me.
Oh. I don't know. I think, you know what? I think they paid me, but not very much. And it was a new club, so I donated it back. It was,
okay.
You know, they paid me like $20 or, I mean, it was much.
Yeah, see, they won't even offer me that, so.
Really?
Really?
Actually, the girl that ran that show, it's kind of weird because.
She did Crack 'em Up Wednesdays in Detroit.
Oh, did she?
Yeah.
Because I went down there because somebody told me to do the show, and somehow I contacted her, and she was like, yeah, okay. So I went down to watch it the week before, and that was all black room. I mean, I was the only white person there the week I went to watch. And I parked around the corner and, I'm walking through, this little strip mall. I was like,
okay.
And I stood out like a sore thumb. And so anyhow, I watched the show just to see what the room was like. And so I know what to expect the next week when I performed. Mm-hmm. Or 2 weeks later. I think she did it every other week, or I can't remember what it was. But in any case, so when I went back, the owner of the bar and the bartender and a lot of people said, "Oh yeah, I remember you're here." They all remembered me.
Okay.
That's why.
Because you stick out like a sore thumb.
But I had a great set down there. The people really appreciated me coming down. Super nice to me. But it was one of those rooms where you got to be funny.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, you can't. They aren't going to tolerate you very long if you aren't funny in that kind of room. But if you bring it. And I gave them some things that they hadn't heard before. I did my finder, chatter, column meter, treater, meter, feeder. I did that
love
thing.
that one.
Yeah, thank you. And it's something that's unique. It's kind of rappy-like, kind of poetry-like. And so I kind of ended with that and, got some applause and stuff. So I had a good set. And I think the neat thing about comedy shows is it's best to keep your mouth shut up front. And then if you do good, people want to talk to you.
Right.
Hate the guy that shows up and tells you how great he is, and then he goes out there and bombs. Because we can all bomb.
Okay.
And you don't want to be talking yourself up and have that show.
Okay.
Yeah,
you're right.
Heard that.
You're right about that.
Have you seen that guy?
Yes, I have been that girl.
Let me tell you how great I am. Well, maybe not so much.
Not tonight. Not tonight. But yeah, I've been to the shows to support and whatnot. I would do the show, but
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what her strategy is or was, or if it's changed, whatever. I know they're just starting out, and I know the owner of that place down there was super nice. I think it was an ex-cop or something, but I met him. But he's a super nice guy. Really glad to have people down in there, and they were selling food, and you hide in the back room where they're making the food when you're performing, and those people were really nice to me too.
I wound up talking to the owner after the show, and we just chit-chatting, just joking around.
Yeah.
And he was like, "You're a comedian too?" I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "How we get you here?" I said, "You got to pay me. You got to pay me." I do free shows often, very often.
Yeah.
But I choose what free shows that I'm going to do.
You should.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You should. You should.
But for the record, I know I have to still do free shows because I have to get my practice on.
Yeah.
And I'll get in where I fit in. You know what I'm saying?
I kind of feel that way about Bonto's shows. You're not going to get paid very much, but you're going to get to perform between 50 and 100 people.
Exactly.
You're going to have an audience, and all except one table is there to listen. There's always that one asshole table. But there's really people who are there to listen.
Yep.
It's an easy crowd. They want to laugh. It's a lot of fun. Even if it's small, he's very enthusiastic about it. I think, it's a worthwhile show. It's a lot better than going to an open mic and performing for 12 other comedians.
Right.
What I mean? It's a show with an audience.
The 12 other comedian shows are awesome because you will learn if your shit is really funny. Because if you can make your comedian comrades laugh.
Yeah.
And we don't laugh at shit.
We've heard it all. We know what you're doing. I understand it. I know. When you do go to those shows, look at that because that means that shit is really funny and hold on to that and nurture that. Yeah.
So
you know what I've done once in a while. If I've done really well, and believe me, I've had shows where I have not done really well at all. Many shows, but on those shows when I do really well, it's kind of cool when the other comedians have struggled, and all of a sudden I somehow find a rhythm and I'm doing good, and I'm pausing in the middle of my set, and there's not a sound in the room. Everybody's waiting for that next word.
Yes.
Even the wait staff has stopped.
Yes.
And that's when you got the whole room. They're like, "What the hell?"
Yes.
And like that finder chatter, because it's so different, people will stop and go, "What the hell's this? What?"
I
Who's
love
gonna say
that
shit
man.
again? Well,
and you never mess it up though. Like I've never seen you say, no.
Well, actually, I have messed it up. I have skipped over a couple parts once in a while, and thought that's messed up. The first time I ever did that joke, and that's a 2.5 minute bit. It's actually 2 minutes and 45 seconds is what it is.
Okay.
I've done it so many times, you know what it is. But the first time I ever did that bit, I got all the way to the end, to the very last big punchline at the end, probably 30 seconds off the end of it. And the MC walked up and grabbed the mic out of my hand and said, "There's other people got to perform."
Where were you at? Where were you at? Where were you, Jay?
I was like, "Whoa, dude! I thought I was doing good." I was at Laugh Tracks, and Jimmy Slims was hosting. And after the show, and I didn't say shit.
He did that in front of all 6 audience members.
Yeah.
There was never anybody at Laugh
Well,
Track.
there's probably 12 people there. But yeah, and I always thought we got along well. And I walked off, and after the show, when it was all done, I said, "Dude, I can't believe you did that." And I was 30 seconds from the end of that. And he said, I got to tell you, there's other people, and quite frankly, a lot of them are funnier than you.
Oh, wow.
And I thought, well, that sucks to be me.
In front of all 7 audience members.
Yeah,
Come on.
I know. I'm going to go over by 30 seconds. I'm like, and maybe my opening stuff wasn't that good. But that's the first time I ever did the joke. Mm-hmm. So I could have never done that joke again. I had just put the process together and how it should line up. And I'm sure I didn't do it as well as I eventually ended up doing it. But I'm glad I didn't give up on the joke, even though the first experience wasn't good. I think you got to do a joke a few times, don't you think?
Oh, yes. You definitely got to do it a few times or more. And the thing about it is, it'll be 2 years from when that joke first came to your mind, and you'll have a whole new part to go with it. And now you got to do it 2 or 3 more times. And you're like, oh, yeah, but it brings the thrill back to it for sure.
Right.
I've never experienced anything like that, but I did notice when I first started in the game and my name got the buzzing and I got to traveling more, I would get to shows that were booked by males, and they'd be like, yeah, I heard about you. And I was like, yeah, I know you inboxed me. And so, you know what they would do though? What would happen to me? And it would like just drive me to like fucking kill and make it like this shit.
Yeah.
They would make me go first.
What?
Yes, every time. And I'm like, you guys should really talk to Mike Ball because he knows how to order a show.
Yeah. Well, then you say, okay, you try and follow this.
Yeah, that's what you do. That would be my mindset.
That's what you do.
And that's how I won that thing. What is it? At Candlestone Resort. And I was like, why am I going first? I'm the only girl. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I'm like,
exactly.
This is strategized. And I wind up winning that competition that day.
There you go.
And I'm like, but it happened to me in other places. Like I would notice they would inbox me, come to my show, and then they get there and kind of scrutinize me. And then they'd be like, yeah, and by the way, you're first. And I was like,
yeah,
okay.
That's dumb.
Okay.
That's just not smart. You're too strong. You know what? Actually, this is related. When my daughter was golfing in college, they play 5 players and count 4 scores, but they take 6 players. So they take somebody that isn't quite good enough to be one of their 5 players that they're going to count the scores for the competition for the 2-day tournament. And my daughter was normally one of the 5 players, but not always. And when she got bumped out, somebody bumped her out during the week to qualify better for that tournament. But the coach still has the discretion. She can decide who's going to be the 5 that are going to count. And they want to win every tournament.
Right.
And my daughter got bumped out probably 4 times in her 4 years of college. And every single time she scored better every single day than one of the 5 girls. So they would have counted her score. And actually, 2 of the tournaments they would have won that they came in second place if they would have counted her score instead of just having her play for shits and giggles.
Yeah.
And our coach talked to her about it, and she said, Coach, if you don't pick me, my job is to make you regret that decision.
Okay.
That's right. That's right. I'm here to prove you wrong. I'm here to make you miserable, to go, I'm not going to make this mistake again.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's my mindset.
I think so too.
I'm very competitive, but I'm also a team player. Like I love to uplift the next comedian. I love to say, yeah, that was great. Or I love to say, hey, can I tell you what you should maybe say this, that, I love to do that, but I'm very competitive. And if you test me, I will show you what I'm made of.
I think that's where you got to be. Now, how do you feel about people giving you, advice or, hey, here's a tag for you or that kind of thing?
I'm very open. I think you gave me something.
Did I give you a tag sometime?
I think you did. And I think your tag is probably the only tag I've ever used from somebody because either I don't remember theirs or something, but I think you did.
I might have. I do that occasionally. I think there's a status thing to it. If you're really way below the status of the person, you aren't going up and telling, do Bashard, by the way, you ought to add this. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to tell Josh Adams, oh, by the way, you ought to say, you know what I mean? But if you feel like you're kind of in the same group with that person, where you have a standing enough where they'll respect your input to consider it.
Right.
And their ego isn't so big where they'll go, yeah, I'm not listening to anybody because I didn't think of it.
Right. And
you're kind of in sync with the joke. I think it's okay to mention it. I don't think you should ever feel bad if somebody doesn't use it. But I had somebody I talked to recently, and they were all set up for a perfect callback 2 more times in their joke, and they didn't call back to the exact same words. So I really wasn't rewriting their joke. Right. I was just saying, by the way, remind them of this at this point, then have this guy say the same thing.
Right.
So you've done it 3 times.
Right.
You know, so it's those kind of things that I think are good. What I hate is the guy that has no standing, the drunk guy out of the audience going, no, I got a joke for you, man. You can say this. Do you get that?
Yes, I get it all the time. I get it just with regular people just talking, and they'll be like, and you can use this in your act. Like, have you seen my act? I don't need to use that.
They actually pay me to be funny.
Yeah, they've never even seen my act. That shit you just said don't go nowhere in my act at all. That's your white people problem. I ain't got that problem in my life. But one thing about me is, like, I will get people like my dude, he's pretty funny, and he'll be like, yeah, you can use that. And the thing about me is, it won't come out my mouth genuine unless I can really relate to it. So when people give me things, if I don't feel it, I can't deliver it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Not with comedy. If I'm acting or something like that, then you know you got to. But if I know I can't relate to it, I know it's not gonna come out genuine. I just want it to all come out genuine. Where
it's got to be part of your character, your personality, who you are, speaking from your voice.
Exactly.
You know, I think finding your voice is one of the hardest things for most comedians to do when they start out. And I don't think you ever had that problem. I think you knew who you were from the get. No, seriously. You knew what your perspective was and the attitude that you were going to portray in your comedy. And how to convey that. And I don't think most people know that for the first 3 years. I think that's a tough thing. I
think it's changing, though, as my life experience has changed, and I'm looking at life through kind of a different lens, which I'm happy about that. But the thing about my voice that will never change is I can never take life too serious. And so the things that everybody else may think is serious, like abortions and stuff like that, I got jokes for days about them.
Yeah.
you know? So that's the main part, I believe, of my voice, is that I don't take nothing in life too serious. Like, my mom had passed away and her body's still in bed, and I'm like making jokes. I'm like, we don't need that right there. You know? So, you know, I just don't take life too serious.
Yeah. Well, don't you think that's a challenge for a lot of people when they start out trying to figure out a real, genuine voice, you know?
Oh, yeah. And you can hear it on stage. Yeah. That it's not necessarily them. And then you talk to them after the set, and you're like, oh, my God. Why are you not this person on stage?
Yeah,
go be this person, because this person is hilarious.
You know, I think, and I've said this before, but I think the biggest problem I've always had in comedy is that my life has been so broad and so weird, and that I've always had fun and always lived it from a strange perspective and done weird things. And when I get up on stage, I don't look like the kind of guy that would do weird things. I mean, honestly, I really was on Black People Meet. Honest to God. I
believe you.
But people don't know me, and I just stand up on stage and say that. They think you're just saying shit to be funny. And I'm like, no, honest to God, I was meeting people.
See, I was on Black People Meet too, and there was a lot of men like you on there, so I definitely believed you when you said that. I was like,
horny white guys. I was like, Black People Meet. Well, get out of here.
I hear your rich ass was on there. I was like, damn, if I had just paid my $30, it'd be Ted and Veronica talk too much.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
I just had to get the free trial.
Yeah.
The 8th day, you probably inboxed me, and I didn't pay that $30. It's cool. That's another comedian I love, and I don't see him as often anymore.
Who's that?
J.R. Williams.
Yeah.
Loved him.
Didn't he move away?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, he actually says nice things to me on Facebook once in a while. Mm-hmm. Not everybody does, but you know what I wanted to mention is, I want to know how you feel about this, but I've always felt that comedy is kind of a meritocracy. That if you merit position, you eventually get it. You don't always get it, but if you're good, you're going to rise to the top. If you're bad, you know, you're going to be passed over and you're going to be given less opportunities. What do you think?
I think it goes both ways, because I've seen really bad people headline shows and get constant spots on shows.
Really?
Because they know the person booking them, or
well, there are some clicks. There are some clicks, and in the little clicky shows, I mean, there's some groups of comedians that hang out together and we do our shows, and these are the people I put on our shows. But I think for the most part, if you're doing the bigger shows, a step up from the introductory Bonto kind of shows, if you're stepping up to showcases and stuff, if you're funny, people want you on the show. And you're going to get more of those gigs.
I agree. I remember my first time going to Mike Ball's open mic. This is when he first started at Hills. This was like maybe the first or second show. And this was like my first experience at an open mic because I didn't know about these things.
Yeah.
And so I found Mike Ball and I went up there and I did a set. He gave me 7 minutes or 5 minutes, I think. And I did a set and he was like, come back next week. And so I went back next week. And then I went back the week after, and then he started to grow. And as he started to grow, I was growing in my skills.
Right.
And so I got put into feature positions and eventually closing positions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
You know what I remember about Hills? I remember God, you were hilarious. And you had, honestly, you have the guts. We were up there at a show. We were doing a show together at Hills. And that was, Mike Ball puts on good shows. And he's a great promoter. I think he's better at promoting than anything else. He's a super good promoter. Puts these shows together. But that's kind of his home neighborhood. He knows all those people anyhow. So it makes it easier. But he works hard at it. We had a good show going. A good crowd like they're usually at Hills Bar. And there was a female heckler. and there was a heavyset lady with a guy sitting at a table not far off the stage. And I remember that in the middle of the show, you and I were kind of in the middle towards the end of the show. And we had newer comedians that were opening up. And so they opened up the show and this lady started heckling and she was heckling everybody.
Yeah.
And so I finally got up and addressed the lady. I finally got up and talked some shit to her about what she said. And I can't remember what I said, but at least I addressed it, which kind of calmed her down. I mean, she wasn't completely gone. There's still some little chirping, but it wasn't on top of me.
She was throwing stuff. She was throwing stuff on stage.
Yeah, she was bad. She was bad.
Yeah.
I don't remember throwing stuff when I was on stage, but I do remember that she was taking advantage of the young comedians who didn't even know that they should talk to her.
Right.
But it got to the point where, somebody's got to fucking do something about this lady. And so I got up and started to address it and kind of calmed her down a little bit. And then I remember I think you followed right after me. And I think you opened up with something about, I'm going to address the elephant in the room. And yes, I'm talking about you. And you walked her. You were so hard on her. You walked her. She got up and left the fucking room. You just tore into this lady. And her date sat there with his head down, just ashamed. He didn't even want to walk out with her. He was trying to hide. He's like,
no, she had thrown something on stage. And I think it was some popcorn because, Hills used to have popcorn. And she threw some popcorn. And I'm like, this bitch got to go. Yeah. You disrespectful as hell. You got to go. You not finna do that.
So you remember that show too?
Man, because I met Brian Holt Matt Holt. I met him.
Was he headlining
He was closing out.
Yeah.
And Mike Ball wasn't even there that day.
Oh.
He wasn't even there.
Oh, because Mike probably would have shut it down. Because Mike would talk to the people. Yeah.
He wasn't even there. And I remember that. That lady looked like Guy Becker.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
You bitch.
Yeah.
If you don't get out of here. And she left. I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Well, bye.
And everybody applauded. I was like, get the hell out. Bye. And I think her date stayed for a while.
He did.
But then he kind of sheepishly kind of crawled out near the end of your set. And I think you pointed it out. Like, there he goes. I don't want to be you. She's mad and she's in the car. It's like... No.
Man, that was so fun.
That was fun. That was fun.
And I got a ride from you that day. We rode up there together.
Is that right? Is that the one we rode together?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, but I remember you really polished her. I remember I kind of teed her up.
You did.
And then you just sent her out the door.
Yeah, she was wrong.
Yeah, she was. She
wrong.
was. Well, I think the problem was that the other comedians before us hadn't been around or weren't polished enough or didn't have the guts or didn't even know to address it. And that's, when you're first starting out, that's a tough thing to do. To say, I'm gonna take on a challenge. I'm gonna argue with somebody in the audience instead of doing my jokes.
Right.
People don't want to do that. They've been practicing. They got things they want to say, and you're kind of told to, don't address the first thing that happens. Just kind of, champion on. But it just got terrible.
But I'm very protective of this craft and the people that I do this craft with.
Yeah.
So her her disruptances and just disrespect really pissed me
Everybody
off.
in the show. Yeah.
It really pissed me off.
First person on. Yeah.
And it's like, I know these people don't know what to do with you.
Right, exactly.
But I know what to do with you. So,
I know. It's kind of like being a part of a school group.
It is.
And having some some people who can't defend themselves in the group.
Exactly.
Or something like that.
Exactly.
And you're like, no, that shit's not going to fly.
Yeah.
Now you're dealing with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I felt. I'm very protective over this craft, and I swear the people I work with, it don't matter if I just met you and all that. If I see you can't, and I know I can step up for you, I'm going to.
Yeah.
I don't care.
You did a good job, and it was hilarious. It was hilarious. I did feel sorry for her date, though. I thought, but then again, he's living with her, so he got to know she's like this.
Man, he just sat there and he's like,
yeah. Well, after I got done talking to her, she was kind of hiding behind the pole. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, I
She's
do.
kind of ducking behind the pole.
And I'm like,
yeah, you're like, I know you're still there.
you. And she had on like this leopard pan shit. She was easy to spot.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah.
That was fun. I miss hills.
Yeah, Bill Ball doesn't do hills anymore.
No, he doesn't.
He was going to Chicago back and forth. You know, I've kind of lost touch with him. And I know he's still doing shows like, what, up in Bay City or Midland or something?
Bay City.
I'm laughing so hard I'm crying. Good God.
I thought you just had like, you know, how old people just...
I do. I have that shit too. Yeah, it's one of the old people. Yeah, it's time for me to cry.
I'm like, Ted needs some drops.
I gotta take a nap.
No, he's doing shows in Midland, Jackson.
Yeah, I saw Jackson. Did you get anybody in Jackson to listen?
Yes.
Jackson's a weird town.
That room is dope.
That's a weird town, dude.
Yeah, it is. It's
I'm calling you dude. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
That's a weird town, Veronica.
Look, I got the chin hair to match.
Buddy.
Okay. No, it's a dope room. It always packs out. I'm actually gonna be headlining there in November.
Cool.
So yeah, it's been dope. I've been there like twice. And
you know, Jackson State Prison is in Jackson, and that was at one time the largest walled prison in the country.
Yes, I remember my first time going to Jackson. I was going to Carrie McCabe's show. And I miss you, Carrie. If you out there,
Yeah.
I do miss Carrie. He's such a sweeheart. But I went to Carrie McCabe's show, and my mom was like so nervous. She was like, "You're driving down there by yourself. You know there are prisoners down there." I was like, "Yeah, like it's just a prisoner waiting on my ass at this random white bar. Like if a prisoner escaped, he's not gonna come to this white ass bar. I can guarantee you that." So,
well, the first time I did a show down there, it might have been Carrie's. I can't remember. I ended up down by the prison somehow. I really did. I was like, took a wrong turn, and I was like by the prison. I mean, with the fences and the wire and shit. I'm like, what the hell?
see, my mom was worried about me. She should have been worried about you.
I know. Well, I have no sense of direction. Yeah, I used to always worry about. You know, I used to do a lot of hitchhiking, and they have signs down there. Don't pick up hitchhikers. So it was always hard to get a ride around Jackson.
Really?
Yeah. I used to hitchhike a lot.
What was the most scariest ride you ever took from somebody?
Well, I got picked up by a gay guy once when I didn't have a shirt on, and that turned out to be a little bit freaky. But, you know, I finally got him to stop the car, which was good. That was weird. I remember I got picked up by a real redneck guy one time, and you know, the thing about hitchhiking is it's your job as the hitchhiker, as the passenger, to be who they want you to be. They're paying for the gas. They're paying the car payment. They're doing the driving. You're just along for the free ride for no apparent reason. So you got to at least be accommodating to whatever their personality is.
That's a prostitute, Ted.
No, I'm not doing shit. I'm just talking shit. So, I mean, if they want to talk about something and have an attitude, you got to agree with them. You don't argue with the guy driving the car. Let's give me a ride for free. So I had some guy that was a real asshole pick me up, and he had an immaculate car and said, "Don't smoke in my car. Don't this." Had all these rules as I'm getting in. So I was kind of on edge, and so that was kind of weird. It was kind of weird to have to spend that 45 minutes 3 feet away from an asshole, so that was weird. But the funniest one probably was, I used to hitchhike with my buddies, and sometimes we'd go from one college to another. And my buddies were at Michigan State in Lansing, and we wanted to go back to Western in Kalamazoo. And at the time, it seemed like that was like 2.5 hour ride straight through. If you're hitchhiking, that's probably 5 hours, because it's about double hitchhiking. spend half your time standing on the side of the road with your thumb out. So it's me and my 3 buddies. So we decided to go 2 and 2. Ain't nobody picking up 4 guys together. It just doesn't happen. So we're like, let's race. Dude, we'll race you. We'll let you guys take off first. We'll stand over here. You guys wait till the car picks you up. Once it does, we'll start hitchhiking. We'll see who gets there first.
Right.
And so it's kind of a fun thing. So my buddies take off. Me and my buddies start hitchhiking. And then we pass them because they got dropped off in some corner, and we wave to them out, going, hey, as we're passing by. So this happens a couple times until we see them. There they are again. So we're catching up to them again, and we're in this car. We got picked up by these 2 guys, and I don't know if they were painters or what, but they had like work clothes on. Really funky guys. They were drunk as hell, just drunk on their ass. And so it was me and my buddy in the back seat, with these 2 drunk guys in the front seat who had just got fired from their job. And so they were just getting drunk, just getting hammered because they got thrown out their construction job. And we're going, hey, you want to pick up our friends? These are our friends up here. He said, yeah, we'll pick them up. So they picked him up. And somebody had to sit in the front in between these 2 guys. So I had said, okay, fine, I'll sit in the front. It was a bench seat, it wasn't buckets. So I'm sitting in the front between these 2 drunk guys, and my 3 buddies are in the back, and they're kind of razzing me and tapping at my shoulder because I had to sit in the front with these drunk guys. And I remember the one guy goes, any of you guys hungry? And we're college kids, we're always starving. We're at that age. Fuck yeah, we'll eat anytime, anything. And my buddy goes, yeah, I'm really hungry. He goes, you want some chicken? And he goes, sure. And the rest of us like, dude, you're taking chicken from some, you don't know these people? And the guy reaches under his seat. He pulls out a jar of water with floating boiled chicken in it. He unscrews the top of that jar, reaches into the water, gets on my leg, and hands it back to my buddy. All right, now going back to the basic rule of hitchhiking, you have to be accommodating, which my buddy has to eat the chicken.
Okay. He ate it?
He had to. If you want a free ride, they offer you chicken and you say yes, you're eating the chicken. You are not.
Ew.
I know. So he's back there trying to choke down this chicken. Me and my buddies were almost crying. We're doubled over trying not to laugh too loud because this is not supposed to be funny. This is supposed to be like a real thing. Thanks for sharing the chicken. Boy, that looks good. Yeah, I just ate, man. I'm bad. I just stuff. If I wasn't so stuffed, I'd be having some chicken. How is that chicken, Kenny? They're choking down the chicken.
Listen, something like that happened to me at Wayne State.
Yeah?
I had met this older guy in my philosophy class. And he was like, you cool as hell, And he was like telling me about all these parties he be having. And he was like, he introduced himself like, yeah, the doctor just told me I got that goddamn diabetes. Like it was just like, I was like, okay.
How big was this at?
He was huge. He was like Cam's huge. He was tall and big.
6'7",
but he was
big.
So friendly.
Yeah.
His name was Andre, and he was cool.
Andre
and he was
the
like,
Giant.
Okay.
Number 2.
And he was like, yeah, you cool. Look, we be having these parties. So he showed me like the hotel rooms with the jacuzzi pools and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So he's like, you and your roommate should come to some of our parties sometimes.
Yeah.
And I was like, hell yeah, we should. And so one night, it took me like 2 months to actually go. But one night, me and my roommate was bored as hell. And I was like, well, let me hit up Andre and see if he having a party.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know Andre for shit. All I know is we both think Socrates is full of shit. That's it. We don't know Andre. And I called Andre. I said, y'all having a party? And he was like, no, but we can get one going. And
if you're coming at the party.
Look, so I was like, well, me and my roommate, we don't have a car, so we'll more than likely need a ride. He was like, oh, it's no problem. We'll come get you, So,
oh, God.
So he comes to the campus and he picks us up in this van. Like, it's not all white. It's got windows.
That's what I'm thinking, a white work van with candy and stuffed animals
It's
in the back.
a green family van, right?
Okay.
My roommate gets in the back seat. I hop in the front since I know him,
Yeah,
so I hop in the front. So he moves this bag. She's in the back seat by now. He moves this bag and he tosses it to the back seat by the time she gets in. The bag pours open and it's a whole bunch of dildos that just fell all over her lap.
No.
He was like, oh shit, my bad. Like it's just regular to have dildos in a family van. I was like, all right, Andre. That story gets crazier.
Oh,
It was no fucking party going on, okay? He took us to the east side of Detroit. And we go into this random house. This is where the guy told me social workers
Is this where he lived?
Yeah, no, this is his homeboy's house.
Ah.
Yeah, so he's like, we're gonna get this party started.
Oh, Lord.
How much weed y'all want? We like a lot of weed.
Yeah.
A lot. Just a lot.
Until we pass out.
Yeah, so he buys weed, right? And me and my homegirl, we rolling up the blunts. We stuffing blunts in our purse. How many y'all come up with? 6 out of a quarter? Y'all came up with 6 blunts out of a quarter? Yeah, just 6. We got like 5 in our purse for later. And he was like, yeah, we finna get, y'all want some food? You know, he ordered us some food. We get Taco Bell, KFC. I'm like, this kind of boring, Andre. You know, I don't see no jacuzzi. You know, this ain't what you said. He like, oh, I can turn this bitch up. So you know what he does? He said, I'm gonna order some hoes. And I said, really? You know, so okay, you know,
What?
we females, we glad y'all didn't turn us into the hoes, but so we'll take
order
this.
some entertainment for us.
He ordered some entertainment, but he warned us before they got there, and he said, "Now I'm gonna tell y'all just so y'all not thrown off." He like, one of them is kind of slow, but you can't tell. And we was like, okay.
Oh, God.
And then he said,
Oh, God. They're bringing hoes in on the short bus for you.
not even to wait till you hear what they came in on. He said, and one of them,
Oh, Veronica.
he said one of them is pregnant, but you can't tell. You can't tell these things. This is what he tells us. So the girls get dropped off by his best friend. His best friend is a Detroit police officer on fucking duty. They get dropped off in a squad car. So they come in the house and they look good. They're cute. You know, me and my homegirl, we not gay, but we just interested in seeing what's going on. And so they come in.
You'll watch the show.
They come in, and I'm like, okay, you can't tell. They look good. One of them said, Andre, where you want me to set this thing at? And she was just sounding just as slow as she wanted to. I said, ooh, I think I figured out which is which. And then
I can tell.
they lay out a blanket for these girls to start having sex with each other in the living room. And the girl takes her clothes off, and she at least like 7 months. Like, you can see this fucking baby.
No.
You can see this baby coming at any moment. And I was like, are you serious? Are you we couldn't believe what was happening. And everybody was just so turned on. And I'm looking like, what in the Mad TV is this shit? This is some Reno 911 shit. What is this? But I get into it too. I join the festivities. I got this like bottle of water on me. The dudes, they like playing with them and stuff, them doing stuff, and I got this bottle of water in my hand. I'm sitting on the couch, my homegirl sitting next to me, and I pour the water on top of the slow one's head. I said, I'm gonna get in this shit some way. And she just, yeah. Oh my God.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yes, don't take rides from strangers. I was just glad they didn't kill us that night.
Oh my God. This is a college party for you.
This was a college party for me. Yes, probably the only one I ever went to. Yes. That's what I experienced.
I don't know what fraternity Andre was in, but I wasn't at that party.
Andre called me like a year after I'm not graduated, but left Wayne State, and he was like, I'm having a New Year's Eve party. You gotta come. I said, did the bitch have her baby? I'm not coming if that bitch pregnant again.
Oh my God.
That bitch couldn't go on her stomach for nothing. You talking about you can't tell.
God. So was that the last time you saw Andre? Was that it?
Yes, and I actually met. He was cool. You know what I'm saying? They was cool. They showed us a good time. They didn't disrespect us or anything like that. So that was cool. But yeah, that was the last time I seen him.
It wasn't so freaky that you just had to walk. That you stayed through it and said, okay,
because
kind of weird, but just kind of entertaining.
I felt safe because the police was there. I don't know why, because the police brought them, but I kind of felt safe. So it was like, all right, I'm gonna chill.
Yeah.
You know, it was fun. Andre showed us a good time.
Yeah.
Shout out to Andre.
Hey, listen, we should wrap this up, but before we do, do you want to promote websites, shows, anything you want to mention before we get out of here?
I do have my first fictional book coming out. It is called The Property Manager Part 1, Unresolved Issues. It is a fictional thriller. It has some comedy in it, some comparisons and some jokes.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, is that going to be on Amazon?
It's going to be on Amazon, and it's going to be, I'm going to have hard copies to purchase. So It's expected to come out towards the end of December.
Say the title one more time.
The Property Manager, Unresolved Issues, Part 1.
Okay. Wow, I'll look for that. Are you going to have an ebook version of that?
Yes.
Awesome.
That'll be sold on Amazon. I just really wanted to write something because what I learned in this game is that was one of the first things I read when I wanted to get serious about this is you could meet a person who can put you in a position to do something great. But if you don't have anything to show them,
good point.
Then you've wasted an opportunity.
Yes.
So if I ran into Tyler Perry and he was like, "Oh, okay, you're funny. You could probably write my movies. Do you have anything written already?"
Yeah.
So at least I have something, for him to check out, and I have that ability to write a long series of things. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm happy for you. That's great.
You.
No, I think that's a great accomplishment. I wrote a book too, and it took a while to do, but I think it's worthwhile.
It is.
I think it's very rewarding just to have it out there and say, this is part of me and what I've done and my thoughts on things and my attitude. So I think that's awesome.
Thank you.
Now, do you have a website or are you on Instagram or how can people follow you or find out where you're performing or?
You can follow me on Instagram at she's_prettyfunny. And then you can also add me on Facebook, Veronica Douglas. I'm active on both sites. I am available at any time. I post my shows on both sites.
Cool.
You can also find my website, which I can't remember the name of it, but you can find it on my Instagram for the book. Okay, I smoke a lot of weed. I've been smoking since I was 12.
Man.
Yeah. The day before 6th grade, I hit a blunt, and it's been nothing but weed ever since.
So there you go. I think that's great. Well, listen, I really appreciate you coming in. It's taken a long time for you to get here.
Thank you.
But I really admire what you do in comedy. You're just hilarious. And I think given the right opportunities, you might go pretty far with this.
Thank you.
You're really funny fast. For a young person, you're pretty darn good.
Thank you, Ted. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate your
I'm
friendship.
so glad I met you.
I am glad you met me too.
I am. I was not expecting to meet so many awesome people. It feels like with comedy, I finally found a place where I belong.
All right, it looks like that's going to be our show for the day, and I want to thank Veronica Douglas for making it such a good one. Also, I want to give you a reminder, go to Amazon. Pick up a t-shirt at TED Talks Too Much on Amazon. And it's political season, and we're all going to be voting soon. This will be over. But in the meantime, try to be tolerant. Be good to each other, and try to be happy. And until we meet again, I'm Ted Moss, and those are my thoughts. And with that, Bob's your uncle.